project.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good time. Let me make sure everything is as it should be. All right, ladies and gents. But yeah, I'm hoping that little turns out good, the little project.
Oh, yeah.
We have the stools sitting around. It'll be like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we got enough legs to make more if you want some.
Right. I seen on one of the hometown, they cut like that stump I had behind the house.
Mm-hmm.
They went out to the lake and drug it out,
Mm-hmm.
and they sawed it where it was level. And there was a glass top in the house before they tore it up.
Yeah.
And set the glass top on it and made it an outside table.
I bet that was cool.
It was cool
I bet.
as beans. Yeah. It was cool as beans.
All right. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Social Therapy with your host, Chaz Bray. Hope everybody's doing good. For those that tuned in to part 1, thank you for watching. Here we are with part 2. My mom, Kim Bray.
Hello.
We got to cover a good bit of her life in part 1, from like earliest childhood memories up through 21. Where we ended was right after you had went to Kentucky to play ball. Your grandmother had passed away.
Right.
You had moved back home. She passed away on Christmas Day. That was something
Right.
we actually didn't, I don't think, mentioned
Right.
in the podcast the first time
Yeah.
around. I don't know if we talked about that. But we're going to kind of go from there. So it's not all bad. So we're going to enter some of the funner times, I think, that Mom has told me about in her life when she was at Lander University. My uncles have also got very fond memories of that place. I hope that I can share some that I've heard one day, or I'll let them come tell them themselves if they'd like to come on and hang out with me. But yeah, if you want to kind of just start from there, I guess when you returned home.
Okay.
You know.
Well, I'll tell you what, before we start,
Yeah, please.
there was, like I told you, I was little, so I didn't know everything. My Uncle Horace went to Eastern Kentucky, not University of Kentucky, and I wish I'd have known that when I was at Emmanuel, because I got a scholarship to go to Eastern Kentucky, and that would have been neat that, my uncle went, and then I went, but, things you didn't know. God had a new plan.
Exactly. It worked out the way it was supposed to somehow.
And then, let's see, Lavera, no, I can't think of that lady's name, but anyway, that was one correction I needed to make.
I got you.
Is that my Uncle Horace was at Eastern Kentucky and not the University of Kentucky.
Well, he was definitely a very influential person in Elberton County.
And a great athlete.
Yeah. Yeah,
he did a lot for the Elberton community, and he was a legend.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming home from Kentucky, I'm sure was hard. One, because you had not long been there.
Right.
And you said you enjoyed being there. Like it wasn't a bad place.
Yeah, we had a blast.
But what was it like coming home from Kentucky and having to start over again?
It was kind of like a culture shock because, one, I'm so used to coming home to Granny's house. All of a sudden, I'm having to follow Tammy, Dooley, and Kyle to Lander. And I've always told them this, especially being their little sister. I was always Dooley, Kyle, and Tammy's little sister. I don't think nobody knew my name was Kim. So I was like, okay, so I'm following them over there.
They had already laid a very firm footprint over at Lander.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there was 3 of them.
Yeah. So, and 2, I told you it was in the middle of a semester, like they were starting a new semester, so I didn't get to go right on campus. I stayed with Tammy and lived off campus, but, wasn't happy about the transfer, was leaving a Division I school, Murray State, went to NAIA school, still had to try out. It's not that I thought I was better, I was just, I felt like
You'd already earned it.
Yeah, I felt like I'd already met my goal. I always wanted to be at a Division I school, and I, was humble enough and smart enough to listen to Coach Vonna to say, hey, we're a 2-year school. I'll help you get where you need to get.
Yeah.
And he did, he did. And he protected me on the way. Because
Good on you, Coach Vonna.
I know, Coach Vonna.
Still appreciate you, ma'am.
I did get a scholarship offer from Emmanuel to, it's at Myrtle Beach.
Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina. And Coach Bonner said,
Yeah,
you're not going there.
Yeah.
You son bunny. You're not going there. You will get kicked out the first semester. So I didn't go there either. So, but, you know, I had a lot of people come in talking to us, and Coach Bonner just kind of helped me make the decision. But, you know, going back to Granny passed away, can't say I didn't get depressed. It was, you know.
I could only imagine someone that had stepped in and that basically helped raise you.
Yeah.
In part, a good portion of your childhood.
Right.
Like,
so now I'm 20, and I have no parents, no grandparents on either side. And I'm like, okay. So that's why I always say that my sister was our mom and our sister. So, but
well, she set me straight a couple of times as my aunt.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah,
she was an authoritarian figure in your family. Like, she knew what she meant to say and intended for it to be done.
Right.
Wholeheartedly.
Right.
So, I always respected her for that.
So, anyway, then I went to Lander, and I was depressed. I mean, I was mad. I was just like, all right, God, why is it every time we think, you know, life's going to be simpler and easier, you know, we lose somebody.
Right.
And I think that's why, you know, marrying your dad, I married a Kim Bray, just raised y'all to make sure you stay close to Nanny and Papa. You know, it's the only grandparents you had. Just respect your mom and dad, because we're all you got. When, you know, when God decides to take us home, that's it.
Yep.
So don't ever have any regrets on what you know, being family.
Yeah.
And I was real family oriented. But what was so funny is Tammy, her and Owen, they would get up and go to work. And I'd get in that car and I'd drive off, you know, like I'm going to Lander. And as soon as I'd see them go down the road, I'd go back home. I'd go sit in there, and I wasn't going to class. I was just meeting some of the girls on the basketball team, and they're like, oh, we go to the Carolina on Thursday nights. You want to go? So started going out with them, not saying I was a innocent person.
No, everybody has college years.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, I'll have stories to tell eventually about what I got into in college.
Yeah, so we would go have beer. My roommate, Tammy Green, from Honey Pass, she was teaching me how to shoot pool. And I mean,
Does your, I don't know if it's still there, but your portrait was still in Sports Break when I went to Lander.
Right.
And of course I was the guy that was like, hey, that's my mom. And, they gave me a beer and whatnot. And I was like, appreciate it. I got a free beer or whatever.
Right.
But I was very proud of you while I was there. It was fun going around and like having people that were already at that school for a number of years that knew who you were, find out who I was, and then be like, oh, I appreciate your mom so much because of this. Or they told me stories about you being there and just being a kind person and always being down. Like, honestly, being down to do just about anything. They were like, if you were ready at 2 a.m. to go do something, Kim Bray was going to go, or Kim Harper at the time was going to go.
Yeah.
Like, but Coach, the tennis coach. Cabry. Coach Cabry would tell me stories. He would seem like a good guy. He was close to Dooley, I think.
Yeah, him and Dooley
were close.
Yeah, they were
So he told me a couple stories. I didn't get to hang out with him as much as I wanted to. I fell in with the tech crew crowd at Lander University.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun working backstage at theaters and stuff like that. I met a lot of cool people.
Well, a shout out to Cabry and Dooley and all them. This weekend, February the 25th, they will be at Sports Break. Dooley has gotten back a band, which he'd done a band when we were younger. But also, Kyle, my brother, will be playing the drums and some of the song sessions. So go to Greenwood this weekend. They'll be playing 7 to 11 at Sports Break.
I'm so impressed that my mom just plugged y'all's band. So I have never seen Mom advertise before. That was a plug, and it was beautifully done. 2, they're actually going to be returning to Lander as a band, Dooley and Kyle, from when they played while they were at college, which was
back in the 80s. Well, I graduated in 85, so
early 80s.
Early 80s. Yeah.
So early 80s, they actually toured around. I guess they actually. I mean, I do the hyphens, but they toured. I do air quotes for those that are just listening, but
back in the day,
that's crazy.
Kyle and Dooley, Chris Turner, Frankie Turner, they used to play at the Old Tahoe, which is now the theater.
No.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And they were 14, 15, wasn't even old enough to be in there, and they up there playing in a band.
That's awesome.
And
so they've been doing it long before they got out of college. That's awesome.
Playing.
Music's
They're
always
all
been
talented.
Well, music's very important in our family too.
Right.
Like it's always been a big part of it.
I always said y'all got it from my daddy because they said my daddy could play a guitar and sing. I can't sing. I have no musical talent.
Well, you had so much athleticism. God couldn't give you both of them and be like, all right, here you go. You know, here's everything you possibly want.
But Dooley sing and play guitar. Kyle sing and play drums. Tammy played the piano. Now y'all, you sing and play the guitar. Cole likes to sing, and I'm not sure.
He does his like electronics. Yeah, he builds beats and does stuff like that.
Yeah, he does beats.
Yeah.
And you know when he was
producing,
little,
I think it's producing is what you would call it.
Right.
Cole
And he
likes to
had
produce.
you had guitars and he had a drum set.
Yep.
And he could play the drums, but he never got into it like Uncle Kyle did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Kyle, he could play.
We're gonna have to get together and play sometime soon.
Right.
We'll have to
right.
we usually do that for like Thanksgiving or Christmas. We'll all get together and jam for a little bit,
Right.
which is fun.
That is fun.
But back to Lander. You sneaking out of the house while Tammy was leaving, coming back after she was gone, started hanging out with a couple people from the ball team. Was that basketball?
That was basketball.
Because you started you had never played softball.
I played softball in 10th grade, slow pitch, and I quit.
1 year?
I played 1 year.
Okay, that doesn't really
my 10th grade, and I played rec ball and stuff.
So you knew how to play ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I never played fast pitch.
Yeah.
But I went there to play basketball.
Yeah.
On a to
because that's what you did at Eastern, or not Eastern Kentucky. Now I'm thinking about Uncle Horace's Murray State. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I always went toward basketball because I thought I was a better athlete at basketball. Well, maybe
that's what
my
you
heart,
loved.
Yeah.
That's probably what.
It.
Yeah, that's what you loved.
Yeah. So anyway, semester rolls around, and my sister's like,
What's your grades looking like?
Wait a minute. You got a .26. What are you doing? I mean,
because she was very smart.
Yeah.
Like 4.0s and very intelligent.
Yeah. Everybody was smart. And I was
You
smart.
just didn't apply yourself.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, I could care less what's going on. I'm mad at the world. I mean, I was just mad.
That's understandable.
And so anyway, Tim was like, you got to go to summer school. So I went to summer school and, got my grades back up and.
So you got it together.
I got it together.
You got it together.
I got it together. So, but.
You were still enjoying yourself though.
Oh, yes. God help us. Now, my college roommates now, they're still drinking and partying. They're 58, 57, 60, whatever.
They know how to have a good time.
Yeah, they bring in the cooler like they did when we was in college.
That's awesome.
Like
I love that though. I do. I love that.
Yeah. So like me and when I first started, it was a Thursday night. They'd say, all right, we're going to the club. We'd go to the club, and Thursday night was just, the club night for college kids. And they'd say, I swear, Harper, you get there, you're the first one there and the last one to leave. And it was just my personality.
Was that the sports break?
No, sports break wasn't there at the time. This was like the Holiday Inn and the
Holiday Inn?
Yes.
Y'all went and drank at a hotel bar?
Yes. with the customers. Yes, they had shag and music and stuff. My sister taught me how to shag because I never heard of no shag.
I didn't know that's what you did. Went and drank at a hotel.
We were at a hotel, and then
what bars did you go to? Do you remember?
I'm trying to think. Well, the Carolina. God, there was another one. Dooley played. His band played there all the time.
I can't remember a couple of them.
I can't remember.
Sports Break's one of the main ones, and then the one it's newer. It's got Carolina in the name, but it's like it's a little bar eatery kind of deal.
God.
It's on Main Street, right across from Walmart.
Yeah.
But I hung out at those places more often than not.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the bars. You know how long it's been since I went there.
Look, that's fine.
I'm old.
Somebody will plug it in. Somebody will tell us where it was. Somebody will tell us where it was. That's why we're doing these things.
Yeah, I can't remember.
We can get filled in. Don't worry.
Yeah, we laughed and carried on like a bunch of wild people. Look, one night.
Here we go.
One night, me and Bean, we were across from Hardy's, and that's the club. I can't remember what the name of it was. But anyway, I'm not able to drive. I've had too much to drink. So we're in my Mazda RX-7.
It's a nice car.
Yeah, I said, Bean, back up. I'm the orderer. Let me order. So she goes in it backwards.
The drive-through.
We going through backwards. We backed up, and I'm like, I want a sausage biscuit and a Coca-Cola. And so when we
From the passenger side
yes. So when we got down the road, when we pulled up, they looked out there like, what are y'all doing? I said, I'm hungry. They handed me my stuff. She backed up. And you know how you usually can go around like the waiting area, or you can just pull on out. She backed up, went on out, and we went back to Lander. And I mean, with me and Bean, oh my gosh, the stories we could tell.
I want to have her on too, because she ended up an educator, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
And a very, very good one.
Matter of fact, she was having trouble passing the South Carolina teaching thing. Me and Tim had just got married. No, we hadn't just got married. We'd already had you, because we were renting a 2-bedroom house. So it was me and your dad in one room. The baby room was in another, because she had to sleep on the couch that night. But me and her, she called and she said, do you and Tim mind driving me to UGA? I said, no, we'll drive you.
Yeah.
She said, I'm taking the Georgia test because I'm tired of working in a cotton mill. And you know, me and her worked in a cotton mill together one summer. I didn't come back home because they wanted me to play softball in a summer league, and I had to live in South Carolina to do it. So.
You worked in a cotton mill?
I worked in a cotton mill in Honey Pass, South Carolina.
How was that?
Ooh, look, it's a big tube, like a metal tube, about that big around, and it's hooked to a compressor, and we would blow cotton off the ceiling, and it would just fall down. We'd blow all the looms on that floor, sweep it up into a big old roller bin.
Y'all were recycling. Y'all were catching all the excess and putting it back so they could use it later.
No. It was looms that threw thread, and it made
like rugs or cotton thread.
But I don't know what they did with the stuff. We were just supposed to place it over there in the corner. But look, I was so tired one night. I said, Bean, I got to lay down. She said, well, you can't be going to sleep on the job.
Was there other people in there with y'all?
No, we were by ourselves.
How old?
I was a junior. It was right before my senior year, so
22? 20?
21.
21?
We're in there blowing the whole floor by ourselves. And I said, Bean, I've got to lay down. I'm tired. She said, you can't be laying down on the job. She was my boss. I said, okay. Well, I got to missing. You know all that cotton I told you we put in that bin? I jumped over in there, and I was like this.
Fell asleep on top of the cotton. And she come up. I could hear her say, Harper, where you at? And I just laid there, because I done sunk down in the cotton by then. She leaned over at me and she said, get your blanket up. We got to go to work. That's awesome.
Said, I've only been asleep 15 minutes. She said, well, that's 15 minutes too long. So
I was
back at it again. But that's a hard job.
I bet.
I mean, that'll make you want to get education.
I bet.
Oh.
And she was still doing that and then came to Georgia to take teaching.
Right. Because she was still working in the cotton mill. After she got her degree at Lander, she was trying to pass the teaching exam. So she went to UGA, passed it first time, got a job in Zebulon, Georgia, met her husband. She's got 2 kids and has done well.
That's awesome.
She just retired this past year. Me and Tim went there this past summer. Yeah. It was this past, before school.
I remember that. You told me about all the hats that she wore.
Yeah. Well, she wore.
Oh,
she
yeah.
Wore
Well, I'll bring her on and have her.
Yeah,
I'll have her tell her story.
Impressive.
If she wants to come.
Yeah.
If she
it is
enjoy
impressive.
That.
My friend, she's very smart. So, but anyway, I went to Lander and got in the health education department, and it wasn't easy.
I bet.
Kinesiology.
Well, I will say, Lander University has got a show enough nursing biology. Like, I went through the biology program, and I got my actual degree from another online college. When you got cancer, the whole nine, we did a whole lot of changes. But I got educated at Lander University because it taught me how to think. Like, I had some challenging professors.
Right.
Extremely challenging professors. But I appreciate them. Dr. Lee, Dr. Pilgrim, Dr. Mize. I could go on and on. There was a lot of them. I was actually...
I had Dr. Chandler, who, bless his heart, passed away. Dr. What was her name? It just flew off my mind. But she was our main core person in there with kinesiology and stuff.
And see, I only took a couple kinesiology classes, so I only went to the gym for those classes like once, twice. I was always in the science building, doing microbiology and genetics and stuff like that.
I told you I had to take biology twice.
They were, I'm telling you, they were tough. This is not a joke.
I took biology.
Not playing. They were for real.
I took biology my spring semester, and I missed it by a point. Had to go in the summer and take it.
I'll never forget the first test I ever got in genetics. Dr. Lee, shout out Dr. Lee, cool guy, challenging professor. But he intended to make you a better thinker. He really did. It wasn't. We had like 18 people in that classroom, and we were all fairly well acquainted at that time. We had taken a couple classes together, and we like. People that ended up doing that curriculum ended up taking the same classes together and graduating about the same time just because it gets very specific. But when we were taking genetics and we got our first test, it had 4 questions. It said, how is DNA made? And you had to explain in every detail, like everything you could possibly remember about DNA replication and how things were made.
Right.
And if you forgot stuff, it was like you had to teach it back to him.
Right.
You had to spell out how these things are done. And if you missed stuff or you didn't know what you were talking about, he marked off. Everybody failed the first test. There were only 4 tests the whole semester. So everybody failed the first one. We had 3. He said, you get to drop 1 test. And everybody ends up dropping the first one because no one's ever taken tests the way that I test. It's hard.
Right.
He said, so now that you're prepared for it, you got 3 more chances. And everybody studied their ass off to make sure that they passed those tests because it was rough.
It was. Lander, it's a great school. I loved everybody there.
I would vouch for Lander. I love Lander
It was
University.
just like one big family. But I do remember...
Eddie Shaw, all the boys on the theater.
Right.
I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, but when I finally, got on the basketball team, Coach Sakoko, she was a sweetheart, just helping me
Did they know what y'all had going on? Were they aware of your situation?
No. I think Tammy told...
Because nowadays, that'd be
Cheryl,
like in an email for everybody to, like, the students coming in, they've lost their parents, their grandmother just passed away, be on lookout, emotional.
I think Tammy had already graduated. Dooley and Kyle were still in school. Dooley had was just coming back taking classes. I think he'd already gotten married. Yeah, he'd already gotten married. So he was married to Myra, and she got her nursing degree at Lander. Great nurse.
Phenomenal.
Shout out to Lander, Myra Jean. But once I got on the basketball team, got to know everybody. I mean, everybody had nicknames. It was hilarious. But it was different.
Yeah.
It was different. But
how'd you end up? All right, so you haven't crossed into, and I've been wanting to not probe you about it, but you came to play baseball. Softball. Sorry, came to play softball. Ended up.
Oh no,
basketball.
I came to play
and
basketball.
I was getting at you came to play basketball and ended up playing softball.
Right.
How did that happen?
Okay, so I finally got into the classes when I transferred in, started playing basketball.
Yes.
And the fact, I got to come straight in and tried out, made the team, started playing 1st January, but I just couldn't be on campus yet. But it had rained that day. We had practice and the softball team came in. And Doug Spears walked in. Dougie. We love Dougie. He asked Katrina Skoko, my coach, said, where'd that blonde-headed girl come from? And he's like, she transferred in. And he said, well, darn, she's real fast. I think I'll see if she can run bases for us.
Yeah.
And so the season was fixing to come to an end. We hadn't quite finished the season yet. And he taught Tammy Green, who kept stats for our basketball team, was on a softball scholarship.
Yeah.
Softball scholarship. So she said, Doug wants you to come out and try out. I said, Tammy, I ain't played softball and God knows when. And she was like, just come out there. So what I do, I come home, get Dooley's glove, because,
So you used your
I'm
brother's
the
glove.
baby of 4. So I've got my brother's baseball glove and grabbed a bat. Because I had to use hand-me-downs.
Well, it was always a thing that you had such an oversized bat. Doug Spears always talked about that.
He did.
I helped with the softball team's managerial duties when I was at Lander. It helped me pay for my rent. We were going through mom's cancer stint and stuff like that when I was in school. So Doug really helped me out by letting me have a job being a manager and just dragging the field, shagging and helping do whatever they did. So Doug Spears
And he loved you.
He's a great guy, man.
Yeah, he
really
is.
is.
Yeah, him and D.
Yeah,
D
him
was
and
our
D.
pitching. He was our pitching coach.
I think D's still around.
Yes.
Yeah, D's still around the area up there.
Yeah,
I
he
feel like
is.
Doug Spears went back to Texas.
He did.
I feel like he did.
Yeah. Once he.
Because he was just an interim. He came
Yeah.
back just to help.
Right.
And I was blessed enough to be there at that time frame, and I ended up being a part of what he had going on while you had played for him. It was a special thing for me. Like, even though I was just managing a softball team, like, it felt cool. Because I was associated with someone that was associated with you.
First,
Full
circle that
Sarah
now,
Fuller was playing at the time. Shout out Sarah Fuller. She's
Yeah.
working at the school system now here in Elbert County.
That's right.
She's the athletic trainer. Doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, we're fortunate to have Sarah.
We are.
We
But
sure are.
he ended up wanting you to come on to run bases.
Yeah, so I went out, tried out. Tammy went, and a few of the other girls on the softball team. I hadn't quite got to know them yet because there was only 3 of us that played basketball and was on the softball team. They were there before I was.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I ran bases. He was timing and stuff, and he was like, "Did you play, a certain position?" I said, "Well, in summer leagues and stuff I played shortstop and center field." So he hit me some balls. I made some plays, caught some balls, throwed them to second. Timmy was actually the shortstop. So he said, well, let's see what you can do as far as batting. We had a girl from New York. And then you got to think, these people come from a fast pitch background, their school and everything. She was throwing it in there so fast, Chaz, I looked like I was swatting flies. And I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to get embarrassed about something. I'm going to try it to the bitter end. And I was like, I just don't know if I got, I looked at Doug, our coach, Spears, and I said, I just don't know if I've got the quickness to do this. He said, that's fine. He said, I don't expect you to come out here and hit it. You've never seen nothing like this. So me and Timmy Green went back to the dorm, and I said, I look like an idiot. I said, he ain't going to ask me to help out. He was like, I don't think she can do it. Well, the next day, he ran across me. He said, do you mind coming to the office? And I'm like, no. I said, I'll come after basketball practice. So I went in, and he said, I think you can help us. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. I think just with some, you've got, the mechanics. We just got to sharpen them up. I said, look, you're the coach. You tell me what you want me to do and work on, and I'll give it my best shot. And that's how I got on the softball team. And never had a scholarship.
So how long did you play softball and basketball at Lander?
I played 2 years at Lander, basketball, and then I had 3 years eligibility for softball because I never played it at any other school.
I got you. So you played 2 years, and then you have 1 year just solo softball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I kept asking Doug, do I have enough?
For 1 more year?
No. I said, do I have enough credits to get out of here?
Oh, you were ready to go.
I was tired. Yes, I was tired. But I finished out softball, and then I graduated that following December, after the season was over. So, but yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
How old were you when you graduated?
23.
And you met Dad when?
When I was 24.
So it wasn't very long after you graduated.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I lived in Greenwood for about 4 or 5 months, and then I moved back to Granny's house and was here for about 3 months before I met you.
Did you ever get any offers beyond Lander?
I never was planning on leaving.
Never planned on leaving.
Mm-mm.
Gotcha.
I was in. Yeah, I was in with Doug. He done entrusted in me to, And we had a great team.
I bet.
They did. I mean, and Tammy and God, all the girls were just, helping me. I always threw side-armed. He said, we don't do that. And he taught me how to throw overhanded, but they would put me beside a wall or a fence and made me have to come over and throw instead of throwing like this.
Because you hit the fence otherwise.
Yeah. And two, I didn't realize how much control you didn't have throwing it side-on. So, but yeah, just hard work. And so played, made the team, played my first year. And the fact that I failed biology, I had to go to summer school. Well, Doug comes knocking on the door. Open the door up and he's like, Harper, what you doing? I said, nothing, just studying, trying to get through this crazy class I can't pass. And he said, well, I just want to let you know I got some news. And I said, well, okay. He said, well, you made the first team All-American. I said, oh, okay. He looked at me, he said, you don't know what that is, do you? I said, no, what is that? He said, well, I'll explain it to you later, but you did a great job this year. I said, okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, Coach.
And
have a good day.
I shut the door. I know basketball inside out.
Right.
Like, I could coach it, I could rep it, I could do whatever. But softball, I just played it.
Right.
I just carefree Kim, go out there, play. But I did listen to my coaches. I listened to my teammates that were willing to help me, and to get the rhythm of softball hitting it, they had a pitching machine. So me and Tammy Green would stay after practice, and she would just feed it to me till I got my bat speed down. And that's,
That's a big transition, going from like the loss of your grandmother and moving to another school to finding your place on a basketball team, and then following up with joining a sport that you'd never played before, and then transitioning into becoming a 3-time All-American in both of the sports.
No, just
softball?
Just softball.
And then Hall of Faming in softball? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
How many records do you still hold, do you know?
Good God, I don't know. You know me.
I know you don't keep up with it. I haven't looked it up before I came on the show today to see.
I have no earthly idea.
I'd like to know. I know it was steals and assists in basketball at one point in time.
Right.
And in softball, it was the longest home run and most slugging percentage, on base percentage, and steals.
I don't know, probably.
I feel like it was like 3 or 4 of them that you had. I don't know if they've been broken or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably.
I used to know it. I used to trip out walking into the gym and looking up and be like, "What's up, Mom?" And then I keep going into the gym.
And I knew
people probably thought I was crazy.
A lot of the kids here are like, Kim Bray, why didn't you tell us?
Well, it's not part of the process of like growing better student athletes, or like you're not there to boast. That's not
right.
And it's not your personality. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
But you have, especially when it comes to coaching, a very good mentality of like what job it is you're there to do. But you left Lander, met Dad at 24. Mm-hmm. After you did the 3-time All-American stint.
Right.
And that was when you came back to your grandma's house?
Yeah.
So who was holding on to your grandma's house after she passed away?
Tammy and Owen.
Gotcha.
Were kind of doing it. And then we'd come on the weekends. Tammy Green, Beetle, which is Teresa Bailey out of
is it Ava?
Anderson. She was from Ava. Yeah, Ava.
Or Star, one or the other?
Yeah, I think it was Ava. She may be in a Star.
They're like right next to each other.
Yeah, they're right there together. That's Tammy and Beatles, my good friends from college. But they came home with us, and our job was taking weekends, keeping Granny's house up, working in the yard, and because Granny always made, when she took us in at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, you better be up cutting grass and trimming hedges. And
you better be doing something.
Yeah, you better be doing, if you wanted to play on Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, you better be working. Yeah. Yeah.
You better have your chores done.
Yeah, get your chores done. So they had come over, and they made a song, I wish I could remember it, about Green Acres. I mean, and it's not nice. But
I bet it wasn't. Knowing y'all.
Yeah, we laughed and we about cried. We couldn't get the limbs up in Granny's yard and throwing them on the truck for us singing and laughing so much. And Tammy was like, y'all ain't getting nothing done. She was getting on to us. We're like, we got to have fun, We got to have fun. She said, y'all have fun everywhere y'all go. I said, yeah, we do. So,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. We've always been like that.
So how'd you run into Dad?
I had been playing golf that day, and I was coming down the 4 lane, and I was headed back to Granny's house, and Teresa Lunsford pulled up beside me and was like pointing me to pull over, and I was like, what do they want? So I pulled over, and she said, this guy's been about to die to meet you. And I said, well, hey. And I said, what's your name? He said, Tim. I said, well, I'm Kim. And I kind of said something to Teresa, and he said, I want to drive your car. I said, well, get in, drive it. Got in and
Never got out.
We've been together for 33 years, coming up March 3rd.
That's awesome.
I mean, crazy. You know, and like I told, you know, a lot of my friends, they're like, I think God puts people in your life when you least expect it.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back home, going to Granny's, nobody's there. My siblings have all, you know, Tammy Dooley, married, Kyle, I think he was living in Augusta at the time. I went down in another slump, you know, just didn't want to leave the house, not going out, you know. And the only reason I played golf that day is Philip Brady asked me to play. There was some kind of tournament, and they knew I could hit from the women's tee, so I was out there. Yeah, because my dad was a good golfer, so I was like, surely to God I can hit that if I can hit a softball. So,
right.
Yeah, so I, you know, played golf off and on.
How about that?
Just, you know. But Dooley and Kyle are the golfers now. Yeah, Tammy picked it up later on.
Yeah, she ended up playing later.
Yeah, I didn't know that until Uncle Paul told me. Matter of fact, he gave me Sissy's clubs, which means a lot to me.
I bet.
I'll have to go with y'all and play with them.
Well, you need to.
Well, you know, she always had the best of the best. I had clubs I was hitting with since I graduated in 82 high school. Yeah, I was playing with 82 clubs.
Well, you still beat me with them when I was 15, 16. So
I know, but
probably still could.
But you were, you know.
I was a baseball kid.
Yeah, you was playing baseball, so that swing is, it'll get you all mixed up. So our coach always told us, he'd say, don't y'all, because Tammy Green can play golf.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go to the Greenwood Country Club and play golf when they'd have tournaments and stuff, because they're like, we need some girls that can play, so y'all hit from the ladies while we hitting from the men, y'all get us up there quicker. So a lot of the college kids, we would play over at the golf course, but Tammy was a good golfer.
How about that?
Yeah, she was a good golfer.
Do you
Tammy
mind?
Green was good at everything.
Showing up?
She was just a good athlete.
Well, y'all were friends.
Yeah, she was good at everything.
Do you mind if I go pee real quick?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
That's right.
And we are back. Oh, wait, let me check, make sure. And, oh yeah, we're back.
Okay.
We low tech in here, y'all. Don't judge.
That's right.
I don't have a reverse lens to know that it's still recording or not, so I have to go check physically.
That's all
go
right.
look at it.
Only way we can get it done.
I'm telling you, however it needs to be.
That's right.
I actually have Theodore Roosevelt quote on my desk that says, let me not mess it up now that I say I have it on my desk. Do what you can where you are with what you have.
There you go.
That's how it works.
Yeah, that is right.
So, you got out of Lander. Did you want to go back and tell the Mazda Miata story? Because we kind of tampered off and forgot about it. We talked about it when we were on break, and then we were like, oh yeah, we got to finish that story.
Right. Yeah, so.
You and who?
Me and Tammy Green,
Mm-hmm.
which we called her Bean. I had just bought a Mazda.
Oh, it was new?
Yeah, it was brand new.
I know this story, but go ahead.
My sister
please.
went with me to get it because when I went to Emmanuel, I had a 75 Camaro Rally Sport. When I left...
Where are these cars now?
Well, I know.
You probably had to get rid of them to feed me.
Well, no, this is when I was living with Granny. The gas, it was just a gas guzzler. So then... Greg Noggle and Dawn, thank you for helping me get to Kentucky. They had a Z28 Camaro, and he had it for sale because they had just had Blake, and they were needing more of a family car. I think that's the reason. So I bought Greg's Z28, went to Kentucky with it, came home, and that's what I had at Lander. Well, you can imagine the traveling I did, and it was a gas guzzler.
Right.
So I ended up buying a 2-seater Mazda RX-7 brown. It was a brownish color. And so went and picked up Bean. I said, Bean, we're going to hang out tonight. So she, she loved, well, I did too, but she loves some Whitney Houston. And I did too. So we stuck Whitney Houston. And now these are not CDs or nothing.
It's cassette or
these
8 tracks.
No, 8-track was in the other cars, my other 2 cars. This is a cassette.
Cassette.
Yeah. So we put it in. We riding around Greenwood. We drinking beer,
Wait, and driving?
Yes, we were drinking and driving. Have you ever?
Was
I
that
told
legal
you,
then?
God takes care
All right,
of
wait,
dummies and dumb A's.
Okay, first off, you can't get mad at people drinking and driving back in the early 80s.
Right.
But it didn't become law that you couldn't drink in your car. I just recently learned this. That wasn't that's a fairly new law.
Right.
And I'm not saying new because I'm 32 now. Prior to my age, like before I was born, but in not too distant past, it was perfectly fine to just drink and drive. Like that was a normal part of your day.
Buy beer at 18, now it's 21.
Yes.
Yeah, all the laws have changed. But so we're drinking, riding around, we singing Whitney Houston. I told you I have no musical talent.
But you're singing anyway.
Oh yeah, honey, we were singing like nobody's business. Now Tammy Green can sing. My best friend Lisa Coggins can sing. Like she's a singer. And I've always admired her about that, just, I was like, God, I wish I could sing. But anyway, so we get to the Civic Center in Greenwood, where we always played most of our basketball games.
Right.
And I said, Bean, I wonder how fast this thing will go. She said, I don't know. So we started right at the top of the highway, and it was a long straightaway. And it was a huge parking lot because people would come to the Civic Center for different occasions, so I always seen a bunch of cars way deep behind it. So I was like, it's got to be a long runway.
Right.
So we get situated, put the beers down. Well, Tammy's holding her beer. We jack up Whitney Houston. I said, hang on, Bean, here we go, baby. And I mean, it was a gear stick. So I'm, we kicking it. All of a sudden, Chaz, we are, I don't know, I'd say I'm up to 70 by now. We take off and we're airborne. We didn't know the darn thing had a drop-off.
So it went parking lot.
And then a drop-off.
Drop-off parking lot.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm hanging onto the wheel. And when
everything starts floating all of a sudden.
Bean's beer's up in the air. Mine that was in the coupe between me and her, it was floating. We landed, sparks went everywhere. And I'm trying to stop it. And when we stopped it, we looked at each other. I was like, oh my God, my sister's going to kill me.
How long had you had this car?
That day.
Oh my God. This is the same day?
Yes.
I never knew that about this story.
Yes,
I always thought you'd had that car for a little while and it was just a fast little car. You had it the very first day and then launched it like Dukes of Hazzard off of a parking lot.
In Greenwood,
South Carolina.
So when we landed.
We get it honest, Cole.
Here's Whitney Houston going. I mean, beer done went up into the dash. I was like, Bean, my sister's going to kill me.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So we got out. We're looking. I said, the wheels ain't busted off of it, is it? And she said, no, but the sparks were flying. I said, I don't know, Bean. So we walked all around
it. made them different back then, obviously.
Yeah, we walked all around it, and I got back in it and cranked it up, and we drove a little bit. Nothing felt off. Never told another soul.
Wow.
Until I got older, and I knew.
Did you sell that car later?
Yeah, well, I actually traded that car in because Bean wrecked it. She wrecked it on the way from a nightclub coming home from Anderson.
So you let one of your friends drive your car and she wrecked your car?
Tammy Green.
You used to roast me about letting my friends drive my car.
I know.
I remember.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just caught that part of the story. I know.
Probably because
it was probably not the greatest idea to let people drive my car. I completely understand. At 16. I was 16. You were 20.
Yeah, I'm up in age.
Yeah, you were old enough to make these decisions. Yeah. I'm just playing.
But now Tammy still got on me and Bean's butts. Like nobody's business.
I guarantee it.
Because we wrecked in Hodges coming home from a nightclub in in Anderson.
Yep.
And I said, Bean, I can't drive. I drank too much. And
did y'all have to call Tammy? Wait, call Tammy. I was like, y'all got a cell phone. There ain't no cell phones.
No. Yeah. Let me tell you what we did.
Let me back up a little bit. Let me back up a little bit.
We're in Hodges, and all of a sudden, I wake up and I'm like...
Wake up? So you was asleep on the way back?
I was asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And Tammy done fell asleep
And wrecked it.
driving.
Oh, no.
And we ran, when she ran off the road, we hit the only fire hydrant in Hodge, South Carolina. And when she hit the fire hydrant, it spun the car around.
Yep.
And all I could smell was skunks. I said, Bean, we've killed a family of skunks in the bush. We were laughing so hard. And she was like, why did the ranger car? Oh, my God. We sat there for a moment, kind of gathered ourselves. Now, what do? We get out of the car. We run up the highway back to Hodges because there's a phone booth.
Yep.
We had to call. We called the Lander Security.
Oh.
And he came to help us out.
That is not the day and age we live in.
No, they come and helped us out. I mean,
that is
it was
not
a
the
hot,
day and age we live in. They'll
was a
put
hot-
you under the jail when
yeah,
they got
it
there.
was a hot mess. And then, the whole front end's gone. We had to tell...
I've never heard this story.
We had
This
to
is a new
tell
one.
Tammy. I didn't want to tell y'all everything.
Well, that's part of the podcast. You gotta
I
let
know,
people
I can
know.
tell you now, but I'm talking about when y'all
When I
were
was a
growing
kid.
up.
No, I get
Yeah.
that. But that's pretty cool.
So
You live and learn.
Tammy come over and set me and Bean down and, got on us.
Yeah. I've seen that
We
before.
drinking
I've
and
seen that
driving,
finger.
I know.
Yeah. You gonna be
And that
molested.
jar
listen.
of the
I
the
remember.
Harper jar
Oh, I know.
of a
And I've seen
chin.
Dooley do that.
Dooley's
I've
got
seen
a bad,
Dooley do that.
Dooley's got a bad jar. He said when his chin jar's out.
The craziest part is they say, I love you, Kyle. I'm not trying to put your business out there. But they say Kyle has the worst temper out of all of y'all. And I've never seen it.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't know. Him and Tammy run a close
Well,
race.
people say you got one.
Oh, I got a temper.
Yeah,
I know.
now don't you grew up
I
in the
did.
running. I was just saying I've heard Kyle does, and I've never seen it. Kyle seems so low key all the time.
Right.
I've
Yeah,
never
he's got a
seen him
temper.
never seen him get worked
We
up
all
about a
got
lot of stuff.
tempers.
Well, y'all all got. I think it's a Harper trait.
Yeah, we all got
Or
tempers. Might be that Dewberry
Dewberry,
Indian
yeah.
trait come out because my mama could get up and
Love the Dewberries, man. We a wild bunch.
right.
It is what
Yeah,
it is.
it was crazy.
Love them to death.
But anyway, Lander was great to me. I do remember when I first got there, they said I was a legacy into Pi Mu.
Oh,
My sister was a Pi Mu.
were you in a sorority?
No.
I was about to say that's new. I didn't
Well,
know that.
they asked me, I said, look, girls,
I didn't take you as a
They were
sorority
like,
type. I wasn't a fraternity
you're
type.
Tammy Harper's little sister. I said, yeah.
They didn't believe
Sure
it.
am. In the flesh. This is me. But Tammy was always dressed to a T, wore the makeup.
She was a sorority. I could see her in a sorority.
Yeah, she was.
I could see her doing that.
She was very feminine lady.
That's why I asked you,
Carried
'cause
herself to a T, where I just rocked on, had a ball
Playing
cap
sports.
on. Yeah, I was just a tomboy.
Yeah.
So I said, look, ladies, I'm not sitting in no chair and sipping tea and wearing a dress for nobody. But y'all have some intramurals. I'll be there, represent you all day long. Give me a Pi Mu shirt. I'll play some volleyball like nobody's business.
There it is.
So that's the only thing that people are like, you're Tammy's sister.
Yeah.
I mean, we were like night and day. We were like night and day.
That's pretty cool, though.
So
after Lander, what then? Like, you met Tim.
met Tim,
He got in the car and never got out.
never got out. And,
How long were y'all dating before I came along?
we were,
Because y'all got married
we started
in
dating.
March.
Yeah, we started dating in January of '89. And Tim gave me, we were with Tammy, Milton, Kelly Mills, all of them. We had I was playing for the Crushers softball team.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Meridian, Mississippi. And that's when I think Hugo hit. Because we were checking on Nene and Papa. Like that was back in the day. I think it was Hugo.
Yeah, you asking the wrong person. I wasn't there yet.
Yeah. No, you wasn't there yet. But anyway, there was a hurricane. It came through. It missed us, but it came across Georgia, Florida. But Tim, that night we all went out after we played. We went to a nice restaurant, and Tim gave me a carrot. Like literally a carrot.
Like an actual carrot?
And asked me to marry him. And I said yes. So when we got home, we got a
You
ring.
have got to be kidding me.
I swear to God.
I've never heard that. He gave you a carrot? Like he pulled a carrot out of the ground at Nanny's house, washed it off, brought you a carrot?
I think one of the girls on the softball team said, look, I think they kind of helped him with it. And he gave me a carrot. I mean, I've actually got pictures of us sitting at a table, and I'm holding a carrot.
Well, knowing you, I'm surprised the carrot ain't rotting away in a cabinet somewhere.
Yeah,
because you don't throw it away. It ain't going to go nowhere.
I know. Mama don't throw nothing away.
Well, we end up using most of it. I'll give it to you.
You're right. But, yeah, I didn't save the carrot. But, yeah, that was his way of asking me to marry him.
How about that?
And then we had planned on getting married in April the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And the following January, I find out
I'm on the way.
You're on the way. So we got married in March.
How about that?
Yeah. And what was so funny is when I found out I was pregnant, Dooley and Meyer
found out they were pregnant.
They were having a
Shout
baby.
out Thomas. Love you, buddy.
That's right. So y'all are only a few months apart.
Actually, we're only like 2 weeks apart.
Yeah, 2 weeks apart. Yeah.
And I was 2 weeks late.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You was almost a month late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm slow about stuff. It took me a while to get through college too, but I made it. We got there.
I was like, if he don't come, like, boy, I'm finna nut up. Yeah, I was large.
That's life. But you had me. There was a rocky birth.
Mm-hmm.
That was a situation in and of itself.
Right.
I wasn't supposed to be able to like do things.
Yeah.
So the Lord has blessed me and been able to be athletic, not only able to walk, talk, breathe,
right,
but be, a functioning part of society.
Yeah.
So
yeah, McAvoy.
I'm extremely blessed.
When I had you, went in, he kept saying let Mother Nature take its course, but then it got to the point where, I gotta.
You had to do something.
And so your daddy made me go hunt a deer the night before I was supposed to have the night before I was supposed to have you. I'm out holding a leaf with blood on it, standing in the woods while they're all wandering around with a flashlight looking for a deer. And I finally got back, and I started having contractions and labor pains. And
how about that?
Yeah, so when I got
you went trekking in the middle of the night to hunt a deer.
Yeah, and I was...
Within 24 hours of having me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait, I was born right after noon on a Wednesday, so within 14 or so hours of having me.
Yeah, and see, they were supposed to start the drip that morning, and they didn't have to because I was...
Already going through it.
Yeah. I told Tim, I said...
So I started out in the woods.
Yeah. You with your mama holding a piece of blood.
Started out in the woods. Probably end up there.
Tim and his hunting. But, I didn't mind. I was like, he was excited. He killed a deer, and he wanted me to go. Yeah, I was like,
Supportive
me,
wife.
I'm always going. Whatever.
You still do.
Yeah.
You still are.
Yeah. Whatever you need me to do, I'm there. So.
Well, that worked out very well. Is like Dad. You and Dad's early relationship. You had me.
Right.
Not long. Were y'all living?
We were.
All I remember is the trailer.
Okay. When I had you, we were living on Stinchcombe. We were renting from the Thorntons, who ended up being my grandmother's best friend. I remember going down to her antique shop all the time.
Is that Thornton's pawn shop?
No.
Okay, I was just curious.
Do you know where Chuck and Millie live? The house
Almond?
right beside them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where we brought you home to.
How about that?
Let me tell you your story.
All right, go for it.
So you're probably size what? Just turned 5?
Size just turned 5.
Yeah. So put you in a car seat, and I'm like, Chaz, I'm going to show you where you were born at. And you're like, okay, Mom. So we ride down through there. And
it's so funny now to hear stories.
Yeah,
of me
and
as a child,
Cole's in the car seat, too, because he's y'all are 3.5 years apart. Mm-hmm. So you're 5, he's what?
2 and
almost
a half.
2, yeah, or a little over 2. And so we pull up, and I was like, all right, so here's the house. Your room was right here, and we had a swimming pool right here, and you had a dog named Gargamel, and we had Axel, and can't remember the other.
I remember Axel, as weird as that is.
Yeah, that was the Rottweiler your daddy
I remember
brought
Axel. I remember riding him.
Sheena was the female Rottweiler.
Don't remember her.
We went in to have you. We come home, and both our Rottweilers got stole. Yes. So
Did we have another Axel later?
Yeah. Your
Okay,
daddy,
I was about to
yeah,
say,
your
because I
daddy-
remember an axle.
Yeah, your daddy got
Another one. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Another
Because I
Rottweiler.
rode a Rottweiler named Axel.
Yeah.
That's a sentence.
Yeah. So I was explaining, and you're kind of looking, and you're like, God, look at those cows over there, because none of them had horses and cows too.
Yeah.
And so I said, do you have any questions? And you're like, no. And you're looking. So we back out. We go to the stop sign on Stinchcone, and I said, well, baby, what do you think? And you just politely looked up and said, Mama, let's just don't tell nobody. I went, Chaz Bray.
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't
It's
mean.
okay.
I had
It's
no
okay.
idea. I was obviously a child.
And so then, when you were...
I
let's
thought very
see.
highly, obviously,
We
of the
didn't-
trailer.
Yeah, you did.
I thought very highly of the trailer.
We went, you were 7 months old. We went on a cruise with Aunt Rhonda and Candy and Barbara and Billy. I was like Tracy
Now,
York.
that could be a podcast in and of itself.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm
That
sure
was a
there's
whole,
some stories
oh,
from
yeah,
that.
there's some stories. But you were 7 months old, and we came back. We had always had rodent issues in that house,
Mm-hmm.
And when you rent from somebody else that's
Well, you're
older,
living out in a cow pasture, too, next
Right.
to literal fields that are
that would
full
be-
of rats.
and
yeah.
mice.
Yeah.
So anyway, when we got back home, I told Tim, I said, that's it. We're not doing this no more.
Wow.
He was like, what's wrong? I said, there's rat turds in my baby's bed, and we're not doing this.
Up and out of there.
That next weekend, we went, bought a double wide, and moved it over there near Nanny and Papa, below the shed.
And that's
'Cause
where
Tim
my
was
childhood
working-
took place.
Yeah,
Because I
and
remember
that's-
being there.
And that's where y'all remember.
baseball.
And we brought Cole home to the double wide.
Okay, so we were in the double wide when Cole was born.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you, as weird as this is, I remember you asking me about his name.
Yes.
I remember you asking me about his name.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have been but 3 or so years old.
No.
But
were-
you talking to me about what I wanted him to be named, and you
Right.
saying it being, I can't remember the options that I got, but I told you
Well,
I
we
wanted it to
brought
be
it-
named the same starting letter as my name.
You did. You said
I
I wanted
remember
to be
telling
a C.
you that.
Yeah.
I said I wanted to start with a C.
But we didn't find out. We didn't find out what you were till you came. We didn't find out.
Oh yeah.
What Cole
Speaking
was.
of which, you want to tell them what my name was supposed to be?
I know what Cole's was supposed to be.
You don't remember what mine was supposed to
No.
be?
My mind's bad.
Samantha Stone.
Samantha Stone. What's up?
Samantha Stone Bray was going to be my name.
Yeah, and
Thank God I was born a boy.
Right. And listen, Cole was supposed to be Amanda Steele.
Amanda Steele. Stone and Steele.
Stone and Steele. That's what y'all's
Ain't that
names would have
something?
been.
That's Tim, isn't it?
Stone and Steele.
Wasn't that
yeah,
Tim?
that
Oh,
was
of course.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yeah. When he
Old
swinging
Granite man.
swinging a
Granite
hammer all the
man.
time.
It's a granite guy.
Yeah, that was what it was. So
But I ended up carrying a family name, Timothy. So
that's right.
I go by Chaz.
And then Cole. is
Which we both
Harper.
go by our middle names, which has always thrown people off because a lot of people go by their first name. So it's Timothy Chaz Bray and Harper Cole Bray. We go by Chaz and Cole,
Right.
which is, it's fun for my teachers because they're always like, Timothy, here.
Do you remember what happened to Cole when he first started school? Because we always called Cole Cole.
Mm-hmm.
We never like Harper Cole.
Right. Oh, yeah, they called his name Harper and he just sat there.
Yeah, he's
Harper.
He's like, somebody sound like they got my first
Harper.
name. And then they said Harper Cole Bray, and he,
Oh.
he raised his hand.
That's neat.
And I think it was kindergarten.
Yep.
I got so tickled him. He was like, Mom. I was like, who's
Harper?
He's looking around. It was funny. It's hilarious. But anyway.
So transition from dad having us. What was your first job here in Elberton?
My first job was at Bojangles,
Serving biscuits.
throwing chicken out the window.
Slinging biscuits.
God almighty. And I was in high school, and a lot of times on a Friday night, we'd have a late game.
Yep.
I had to turn around and get up at 5:30 in the morning to be at Bojangles on a Saturday
In high school.
in high school.
How about that?
And the Dewdrop Inn, which is no longer there now, was there, like in the drive-through, and the Dewdrop Inn was right here, and it was just a nightclub. And I just told Greenie one
The
night.
Dewdrop Inn was a nightclub in Elbert County.
Mm-hmm.
We had a nightclub.
Mm-hmm. And I told Greenie when I got home, I said, Greenie, I can't work at Bojangles. I'm not getting cussed over some chicken.
No.
Because I wasn't a cooker. I done told y'all that. I don't cook. I don't know the difference between a leg, a breast, a chicken, wing, whatever. It didn't matter to me. But I got chewed out so many times over
What's what
Well,
in food?
Yeah. And two, usually the person that runs the cash register is not the one filling the orders.
Right.
You know, you're just the server. So Granny said, you're going to put your 2 weeks notice in and make sure you have another job lined up. So I worked there about 3 months, and I just couldn't take it no more.
After you...
So I left there and went to Boswell's Pharmacy and worked for Bill Boswell.
Bill Boswell. That's pretty cool. After you had me and Cole, were you Did you work during that time frame? You were a stay-at-home mom for a little while, weren't you?
Yeah, but I worked.
I remember there being a plant. You worked at a plant. Torrington.
Yeah.
I was going to say something
All right.
else.
When I met your dad, I was selling burial insurance for Hicks Funeral Home.
Is that Excel?
No, burial funeral.
Okay, I remember Excel.
Excel is the phone.
I remember
thing.
the Excel phase.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then when you came, I went to work at Torrington. Yeah, I went to work at Torrington. You're staying at LeBron Jones's. So I'm dropping you off, going there. Then I get pregnant with Cole, and I went back to work for a short time. But dropping you off, now dropping him off.
Is Miss Jones's the
LeBron?
one that had the fence and I hung out with her son a lot?
Yeah.
And he was an artist?
CJ?
I don't remember.
PJ.
I was such a TJ?
I don't know.
We'll have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to this lady's house and being dropped off and usually pitching a fit about being dropped off. Because I didn't like being dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
I love my son Cyrus is the same way. He's a homebody kid.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be around us, and I love him to death. But I remember going into her house often and hanging out with her older son, and he was like a teenager, maybe.
Oh yeah, he would have been a teenager.
Like he was older, but I always thought he was really cool because
Right.
he was older and he was artistic. I'm pretty sure, and I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I feel like he was, and that just stuck with me.
Well, that's where you went, and you went to Miss LeBon's, and then of course
Was
you
Braden Lunsford
ended
over
up.
there with me too?
Mm-hmm.
Braden, I knew that's where I started hanging out with you.
And then y'all went to
we went to Miss
Betty
Betty Jo's together.
Yeah.
And that was.
And so I'm at Torrington. I was there 5 years. Was there pregnant, working up till the time I had him.
Yep.
I worked in shipping and receiving. And then when I went back to work, realizing I'm paying Rosie Clark Thompson, my best friend,
Yep.
his mama, she was a retired nurse. She kept Cole, I take you back to LeBon, and Tim's like, you ain't making no money. Because we were living in Dewey Rose.
Yeah.
So I'd have to take you all the way to the country club.
Yep.
But first we'd drop off Cole on Elm Street, and then I'd go to Torrington way out there near the Athens Highway. And then I'd make a circle and come back, and Tim's like, you're just going to come home and be a homemaker. So
Yeah.
I did. I stayed at home, and then once y'all got into school, I went to school system. Started
Teaching.
Yeah.
Special education?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
I was
It takes a special person to work in special education just because you have a heart of gold for those kids. Like, truly.
Yeah.
Like, I seen you work, not miracles, but just the transition at such a young age. Like, I wasn't, but, God, maybe 8?
Yeah, 8 or 9.
8 or 9 years old?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember that.
Right.
And then coming in and then being like, Miss Kim, blah, 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 blah. They loved you so much just for being there.
Yeah, I loved them, and I went in as a parapro.
Yeah.
And I worked 5 years there.
It was a good little stint.
Yeah, I tried to get a teaching degree.
You were coaching as well.
Yeah, I was coaching.
That's why you were paraproing, because you had to coach.
Yeah.
You got hired to coach.
Yeah.
And they gave you a job so you could.
Yeah, help with special needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
How was your coaching career?
It was fun. Yeah, it was scary at first, because not all athletes make good coaches, and not all coaches are athletes.
Well,
Did you
yeah.
know that?
No, I know.
there's a
No,
book.
fully aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, some people study the game and
Right.
know it. Other people play it. Some can do both, but not
Right.
everybody.
Yeah. That's what it was something I had to.
Yeah, coaching is a very specific art. Like,
Right.
coaching is an art form.
Right.
It really is.
And I love. Started out at the middle school. Shout out to Martha Noble, who said, "Yeah, we'll hire
Love you, Miss Noble.
I know she's a sweetheart.
She's a great woman.
I coached softball. Then we went to high school, and Robin Kidd, me and her were like tick and tack.
Yep.
We stayed coaching together in the softball world, and then, of course, I started coaching basketball.
How many region championships did you win? Do you know?
Oh gosh, I know in softball, I think 5 out of our 9-year run we had, maybe 10 years. You know.
The 50-50 on region champ ain't bad.
Yeah, and then before I went to basketball, I went to track with Coach Owens.
Coach Owens, that family, all the Owens, love y'all, man.
Best people in the world.
Yeah.
Coach Owens.
Brandon Braxton.
Yeah.
LJ. Oh, the oldest one, Chris. All of y'all, man. Like, love y'all to death. I hope y'all are doing well.
Yeah.
Y'all good people. Your dad was a great human being.
Yeah. So he was like, you can do track. And I said, Coach Owens, do you know my extent of track? They seen they heard, and when I got to the high school, Coach Pageant was over track. And he was like, you do good in track. Well, I just thought track was running circles. I didn't know. I ain't never been around track. I didn't know you could hang a baton off, or you could jump, or
you could sling a weight
shot put. Yes.
Yeah. Or high jump or triple jump.
Which
I loved, by the way.
I went and tried out. I was like, okay, I'll try.
You tried out for coaching?
No, I tried out for track in high school.
What? Oh, so we went back. Sorry. I lost track of time.
Yeah.
So
I was
we're
just
back in your
saying,
high school days. They tried you out
because
for track.
I'm telling you, this is when I went to track with Coach Owens. He
Gotcha.
said, "Did you do track?" I said, "No." I said, I wasn't running circles for nobody. I said, Coach Owens, you know my extent of track. I went out. Coach Paget was like, y'all need to run around this thing. Well, you know that big gate? Mm-hmm. It's like a cement wall, and it has a gate that you can get in and out of the track. I ran around the track, and I came right out that door. Kept running, and I ran to North Oliver Street. And
so you ran straight out of the tryout and never came back?
I never came back. I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. I'm not running circles.
Well, I wasn't a track guy. I loved being around it while you were coaching.
Right.
But I wouldn't have done it in school.
Yeah, I got to have something in my hands.
I'm just not a...
No.
Mental games weren't something I really took on until later in my life.
Right.
Like golf or things. Like you have to be mental fortitude. Not that, but... I see track as a mental game. You versus you, because it's timing. How fast can you be? Can you beat your last time? Can you go faster? Can you? Yeah, it's a mental game. And I didn't do not well at those, but I was more like you. I wanted to play a game.
Yeah.
Track didn't feel like a game to me.
No,
track felt like work.
Yeah, I was like, peace out. Like work. I got to go. So when I ran home, my grandma was like, "I thought you was trying out for track." I said,
"I did." I just made it back to the house. I did try out. I just got home. We're good.
My grandma would get so tickled, Chaz, that she'd wet her britches sometimes. And I said, Granny, I did. I went around one time and I came home and she was like, what? I said, I can't do that.
Yep.
I said, I need something in my hands. And she was like, oh my gosh. I said, track ain't for me. But then Coach Owens asked me, I said, Coach Owens, I don't know anything about it. He said, I'll teach you everything you know. We need a track coach and you would do good. Coach Owens taught me everything I know about a 400, 800 mile shot put, long distance, 4x1, 4x4, the mile, you name it, Coach Owens could teach it. And he taught me everything I know, and I'll be darned if we didn't win some regions. Me and him back to back, winning regions.
You did. You coached track for longer than you did most. Yeah. Actually, you did that longer than you did baseball. Softball and basketball.
I did. I coached track longer.
That's crazy.
Yeah. When I quit is when y'all were up there on the
baseball
field.
I'm seeing a theme that you went for basketball and ended up playing softball out of the blue, and that's what you ended up in the Hall of Fame for. And then you started coaching and ended up coaching track out of the blue and ended up doing that longer than any of the other coaching stints that you did.
Right.
It's weird that guy kind of just puts you in places, and that's what you end up doing.
I just, whatever. But one thing, and I try to tell the younger generation, if somebody believes in you to do something, you got the support, so go ahead and do it. But you got to listen, be willing to listen and learn.
Well, later in my life, like I'm constantly trying to challenge myself.
Right.
Excuse me. In every way, shape, and form that I can possibly think of.
Right.
So, but I didn't get this mentality until I was well into my marriage and had kids. Like I was not, and even still, like I know that I know nothing, but I acknowledge that, if that makes sense. Like I'm willing to learn. I'm always going to be a student. I will never be a master of most things that I try in life, because that's just an understanding that I have. Like it takes so much to become that proficient or that great at something.
Right.
But it seems like you did really well at just about everything you tried. You know? That's fun. That was pretty good.
I mean, and
how many track regions did y'all end up winning? Because I ain't gonna lie, Elbert County, we've got athletes. I don't know if y'all know this, but just from traveling around and being in, me personally, not mom, me, going Greenwood, going Stephens County, going Atlanta, as far south as like Cartersville, and as far north as like, what's that town up in northern South Carolina? It's gonna elude me.
Piedmont?
No, it's not Piedmont. It's the guy from House of Cards is in the House of Cards show. He's from there. Gaffney, South Carolina. I've talked to a number of people. Like, we have so many good athletes come from this county, and I don't know why.
Right.
Like, we have a conglomerate of really good genetics. Right. I don't know what it is. But this town constantly produces great athletics, education. Like, we're just... And again, I don't feel like our community as a whole, and I'm not trying to tangent off your story here, but seriously, like I feel like our whole community could benefit from just viewing us as what we are. Like, we truly have great athletes. We have good people in our community. We have the want, I think, to be better. And I see that it's kind of coming to fruition. I feel like things are happening in our town, not rapidly, but also, I mean, in a grander scale. Fast. Like, over the next 10 years, I feel like Elberton's going to change a lot. Right. Especially since Miko and all the great things that he's done since he's gotten into the NFL and all the stuff.
I know. I wish they'd do a mural on the side of the building. And, you know, instead of that sign.
Which one?
We ought to all
pitch
in his Miko sign in Bowman.
Well, we could do like a granite one.
Yeah, I think they
we
need
could do
to
something awesome.
Big, you know, when you
Why
drive
not, guys?
I know when you drive into Royston and you got
Royston.
You know,
your Ty Cobb and all that other stuff.
Cobb on the side of that building.
Right.
We ought to do
Miko. Love Miko to death. I truly believe, Miko, if you ever see this, man, I promise I believe this. You could be a Hall of Famer, 100%. If you stick at it, you do your thing, and I ain't trying to tell you because I'm a layman. I don't work in the world that you work in. But, dude, you've got everything. I know your dad. My mom knows your dad. Like, y'all got it. So just stay the course, bro. Congratulations on all things you got going on. The child.
And congratulations on the baby.
Yeah, everything. Like, we're happy for you down here, man, in our small little corner of the world. But, like, you've got the opportunity to be probably one of the greatest things Elberton's ever created as far as an athlete. So, congratulations on already being partially the way there and being what you are to this point. Like, that's an amazing thing.
And representing us well.
Yeah, my mom has always spoke so highly of you.
I do. Honey, I don't miss a Chiefs game at all.
No, I know you don't. And you know Cole. You and I have never got to meet. And if you do see this, it was a pleasure just knowing you tertiarily through my mother. She said you were a phenomenal human. Always respectful, which I keep very close to heart. That's of utmost importance to me. Respect.
Right.
But, all right, so you went through coaching for a stint. We'll go through. I really feel like we're going to break this podcast down more so later. Like, I'll have you back on. Right. I'll probably give you a break because I don't want to have to build my show based off of you because that's a high standard for me to keep. But I did want you to continue through, you know, what we're working through today as far as what you want to say in your, because we haven't gotten to your, you know, cancer stint or anything like that.
And I figured that could be a podcast.
That could be a podcast in and of itself. So we'll probably, you know, taper down from this point of our Lander extents and you being a coach and having me and Cole and before you have, you know, any health issues at all and stuff like that. So we'll do that on another stint. But as far as today, college kids is really what we talked mostly about, going through college. It was a different day and age and stuff like that. But could you impart any knowledge that you've gained from your athletics through college and or your, having to go from college to college to college to find out where you needed to be and what you got going on? Could you give anybody anything from that?
Right. Well, the main thing is when, if like me, I didn't care if I went to class or not. My grandma said that. She was like, God, you want to go to school, but you gotta go to class too, Kim. So, it was a hard lesson to learn. I almost got kicked out.
Yep.
Because, you've got to keep your grades up as a college athlete. I mean, they don't care how good you are. If you're not doing your work, there's other people out there that's just as good as you, and you can be replaced. But the younger generation, now what I see, just like the athletes for Elberton County right now, the girls on the high school basketball team, who I've always said was just a very unique group coming through Elberton, they all are great students. You rarely see a group as unique as this group coming that's gave us a state championship. Hopefully, they just won region. We're planning on winning state again this year. But they have, and I think a lot of it's to do with the family upbringing. They have the support system that's helped push them along. But they've had to take a lot of initiative on their own to keep their grades up.
Yeah.
And they're A students all the way down, I think, to the 9th grade, 9th through 12th. Coach Jones and all them coaches, I don't got to worry about them kids. They're getting it done in the classroom. And that is unique.
That's awesome.
I mean, as long as I coached basketball, I don't think I ever lost track or softball player. All the years, I coached 24 years here, I lost one athlete to grades. And that
I feel like I remember
hurt me worse than anything in the world.
You talked about that at home.
Yeah. It just bothered me that I felt like I didn't do enough to make sure that, you can only ask, get them the help they need. If they don't want to apply it, but I thought in 24 years,
kind of deal.
Yeah. I think in 24 years, only having one kid I've lost in my whole years of
So
coaching.
grades come first.
Grades.
So build yourself around your education.
That's right.
And then, do your athletics, because you love it. You know, that's what your passion is.
Right.
But you have to be educated. So then if you do pursue something beyond academics and sports-wise, you're smart enough to make those decisions that you need to make.
Right.
Like you're not having to depend on other people to help you along in decision.
Because
that's another thing I've learned in life, by the way, guys. If you want a little, if somebody younger, I don't know, 21 and below, maybe 25 and below, because I'm only 32 now, and I'm not the most wise person in the world by any means. But my life got exponentially better when I started understanding that I have to make decisions for myself. Because I was very much a people pleaser when I was young. And still very much am. I have to fight that personality type because I will let people down that I know will forgive me, like my wife or my mom or my brother, to help others that I know need the help, but it's at my own cost, if that makes sense. So I've really learned a lot in my own journey of just sometimes it's a hard decision, but you have to make decisions for yourself. So if you know it's the right venue to take, please take it. Just do what you need to do for yourself and then move in that direction, because you will go in positive places. I have lost friends along the way. I have done things. I've broken character and been someone I'm not at times to try to help people, and then turned around and been like, why am I doing this? Why am I this way? I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be sacrificing this much. But again, guys, you've got all you need here. I really think you do. I feel like you have all you need at this little corner of the world that we have in Elberton.
Right. And my thing is to be willing to take advice from people.
Someone's always wiser.
Yeah. I mean, my grandma always said, you're never too old to learn.
No.
And I mean, I learn every day something new about something or somebody, or, just trying to be a better person.
Well, it's like I started, I don't know how far back in the podcast, but when I said, I will always be a student. To master something,
Right.
Like you have to be proficient and dedicated for decades to become masterful at something. And I want to learn so much in life that I'll never be a master at probably, if anything, it'll be one or two things. But I want to learn a breadth about, and that's what this podcast is about. I'm gonna bring people on that know things that I don't know, and talk to them.
And I'm excited about that.
I appreciate it. Like I'm really hoping this turns into a positive thing. Like some of them are gonna be goofy. Like I'm just gonna be hanging out with guys and we're gonna be talking trash and like we're gonna be spouting nonsense, things that don't make sense. Like there's not gonna be logic behind it. But then I'm gonna have people on. Like I always try to avoid mentioning guests that I want to have on. But I've had a couple people that agreed that they would like to come on and hang out with me. And a couple of them are really incredible human beings, like either militarily, like have gone through the military in the U.S. and got to very high places and are going to come and talk about their experiences. There's 2 or 3 of those. People that are within our community that have worked in either education or just know about the history of Elberton. I want to talk to Bean and have her come on about education as a whole because she worked 30 years inside of it. So there's a lot of good things coming, guys. I really appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We're going to have Mom back on again because we only made it from like really the college stint through you having me. So that's like 25 to 30-ish.
When I had chat.
So we only covered like a decade, early 20s to 30. So we'll do this again, which I don't think anybody will have a complaint about because most people have been like, we'll watch your mom and listen all day. So thank you again for coming to hang out with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. If there's anything that you think that you want to add to the show or have any information that we either got wrong, because we don't have all the facts in front of us.
I got wrong about Eastern Kentucky.
Well, I didn't know.
That's why I wanted to straighten it out.
Oh, that was another one. I didn't know that we had a birthing unit up until the early 2000s. In Elbert County. There was early as 2002 is what I seen somebody post. So thank you for all that. I really appreciate the information.
Because like I said, I'm getting older.
Well, please give me, guys, this is for us as a community. This is not for me. This is not for my betterment. This is not a solo endeavor. I want our whole town to learn about itself in so many ways. So we're really looking forward to whatever social therapy comes to be and has to offer. I've had people tell me you got to get a sign. You need to start doing it. I need to start mocking up some merch, hats and shirts that I could wear and stuff like that. But it's been nothing but a pleasure thus far. Just hanging out with you and Cole, and that's just my family.
We're in passing, helping with the grandkids or whatever.
So it's nice to spend a little time.
We'll get to there too.
Yeah, I'll bring my kids on. I'll let y'all meet my young ones and stuff like that.
Oh, they a mess.
They are.
They're precious.
But thank you guys again. This has been Social Therapy with Chaz Bray. This is my guest, Kim Bray. We'll do this again another time. This has been part 2 of her series. We will have a part 3, it seems. But you guys have a blessed day, and thank you for checking in. Thank you.
Bye.
That was fun. Woo! That shit was hot. Appreciate it, man. I like playing music. It's one of my favorite things to do.